Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing week 2 of college football right now with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, who's given us a lot of great insights and advice for a long time in SBR Videos, as well as winning picks overall. He has a positive record in our videos, despite not being close to taking his best games every week, taking whatever games I ask him to take. Very thankful to have him on. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter. It's going to be a huge week 2 in college football and week 1 in the NFL.
All right. I thank you so much for giving us all these opinions on these tough games. And this is a tough one. USC Stanford is what we're going to cover right now. And I'll tell you right now, I would not want to put my professional reputation on the line based on an opinion on this game, but we see what you have to say about it. But before we get to it, give a plug for OffshoreInsiders.com and tell everyone how you do at your site with your premium picks, which are, of course, meant to only make money.
Yeah, no, I'll admit I'm coming off of a premium pick week that I've certainly had better. But the good news is in college football, especially in recent years, we have a lot of computer angles that are based on, in part, what teams did in their previous game. And one of our absolute best ones applies several times this weekend. But no, this is year 27 of winning. My picks are now at OffshoreInsiders.com.
Well, you gave us a lot of great advice and winning picks in week 1 in college football. This one, though, USC Stanford, I hope the viewers do not judge you professionally based on these lines, because this looks like a very tough game for me to cap. Stanford -3. It's down a little bit from 3.5. The total I just saw opened at about 53.5 on Bookmaker, and the initial action looked like it was getting bet up. I saw 54.5 right before we shot this video, and you know, we know why that would be, because obviously UFC's new up-tempo offense is looking absolutely explosive and unstoppable. They did it in week 1 against Fresno State. Stanford obviously has a much better program. Maybe they'll be able to slow USC down in a way that Fresno State wasn't, but just based after that week 1, I'm not sure I'd want to bet against UFC until they show that they can be stopped. But Stanford, great program. This is supposed to be a great year for them. They have a lot of new faces on the team that are supposed to be very, very good. And we did see what they did last year against another team that was running a high-powered offense, Oregon. That was a game where the total was high, 60.5, and they wound up winning it 20-26. The game went way under that total, and they won and easily covered. So Stanford does have recent history, of stopping teams that run big, fast, high-powered offenses like USC is running this year. So I'm not sure what I would do here. For me, it's a pass. What's your take on this game, Joe Duffy?
Well, Peter, this is maybe only the second game this year that the games that I'm previewing, I do have a premium pick on it, and really? I will tell you exactly what it is. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, sometimes we don't know. But I'm going to be going with Stanford in this one, and everything you said is correct. But there's one thing that I think one of the biggest differences between the top handicappers and the so-so handicappers, I wish I had a nickel for every time I've heard someone say, I just don't get it. One week, USC, I watched them, they looked so good, and then the next week they came out flat. Well, as I've said so many times, the best handicappers can predict unpredictability. And right. USC, they have a young enough team. They don't have as much depth as most nationally ranked teams do. And coming off an impressive effort against a weaker opponent, now they got a bunch of young players hitting the road against a Stanford team that's in a little bit of a revenge situation where USC beat them last year. No, I am going to predict the unpredictability of USC, and I think this is a very good situation for them to come out flat. They played 11 true freshmen against Fresno State, and that was really more so out of necessity, like I said, because they don't have a ton of depth. Well, you can get away with that against a team like Fresno State, but now hitting the road this early in the year, no, I think they're going to come out with a very disappointing effort.
All right, well, there you go. That's the difference between a professional and an amateur, because to me, betting against USC, I'm not saying I necessarily want to bet on them, so maybe I'm above like a complete dumbass amateur, but, betting against them seems to me to be a very scary proposition, and, Stanford did have a lot of time to prepare for Oregon last year, and this year it's a little bit different. I mean, how do you know that USC isn't just like, some teams, in the ebbs and flows of the season, they'll come out with a big performance, and then they'll come out flat the next week, but maybe USC is just jumped up a notch here, and they beat the spread in their first game by a mile. Maybe they'll be beating their spreads by a mile for the first 6 or 7 weeks in a row.
Yeah, well, there's no such thing as a true lock, but I will say this. One of their beat writers, and in fact, let me see if I got his exact quote, because I compile my news and notes. He said, the Trojan offensive lineman looked winded at times on Saturday, and as he correctly said, that was against a pushover. So one of their a guy who was there, who watches the game, like I said, there are beat writers out there who I trust, sources I trust, And again, people that watched the game said their offensive linemen were looking winded. Well, guess in a case against Stanford, boy, that's going to really come back to cost them. And how do I know that? As I said, that USC is in the type of situation where predictably unpredictable teams come out flat. Yeah, they look pretty impressive in one game. Then they hit the road to play a tougher opponent. And, you know, they might be a little bit fat and happy. So who knows? Like I said, there's no such thing as a true lock, or else I'd be a billionaire. Right. But I do think the percentage play here is Stanford.
Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much.